Hi everyone, please subscribe my YouTube channel. My girlfriend broke down in tears, admitting she kissed her ex. She called it a fleeting lapse and begged for my forgiveness, swearing she regretted it. I told her, everyone screws up sometimes. Then I pulled out the non-refundable plane tickets to Paris I'd bought to propose to her on her birthday next month, and set them ablaze right in front of her. My entire world pretty much crashed and burned last Tuesday. It sounds theatrical, I know, but that's the only way to put it. It all went down when my girlfriend of 2 years, Maya, sat me down for a serious talk. She had the whole act prepared. Her voice trembled, tears streamed down her face, and she could barely meet my eyes. She confessed she'd done something awful and needed to come clean. Apparently, she'd gone out for drinks with friends the previous weekend, and her ex, Liam, just happened to show up at the same bar. They started chatting, things escalated, and well, you can fill in the blanks. She grabbed my hand, gripping it hard, tears flowing freely. "I kissed my ex," she sobbed. "It was a moment of weakness, and I'm so sorry. Please forgive me." She looked at me, bracing for a reaction. She was ready for me to lose it, to shout, maybe even to smash something. She was prepared for a fight. She could handle a fight. But she wasn't ready for what I did instead. I just stared at her, my face blank, and said, "Everyone screws up sometimes." The relief on her face was sickening. It was so obvious. She thought she'd dodged a bullet, that my forgiveness was that easy to win. She thought the storm had passed. I stood up and walked to my desk in the corner of the living room. I told her her timing was impeccable. I'd been planning a big surprise for her birthday next month. From the top drawer, I pulled out a sleek envelope from a high-end travel agency. I opened it and spread the contents on the coffee table. 2 non-refundable first-class plane tickets to Paris. A confirmation for a week-long stay in a luxury suite at one of the city's top hotels. A list of reservations at restaurants she'd been raving about for months. Her jaw hit the floor. Paris was her ultimate dream. Then I reached into my jacket pocket and pulled out a small velvet ring box. I didn't even need to open it. I just set it on top of the tickets. Her confession, her whole sob story about a momentary lapse, choked in her throat. She was staring at a tangible, pricey vision of the future she thought she had in the bag, the future she risked for a kiss with her ex. She started to say my name, her voice quivering, but I raised a hand to silence her. I walked to the fireplace, grabbed the long lighter from the mantel, and returned to the coffee table. I locked eyes with her, picked up the plane tickets, and flicked the lighter. I set them on fire. I held the burning papers as long as I could stand the heat, watching the flames consume our future until they turned to charred ash, then dropped them into the empty fireplace. She sat there, stunned, her mouth agape. The crocodile tears were gone, replaced by raw, horrified shock. The only sound was the faint crackle of the last bits of paper turning to smoke. Let me make one thing clear. I'm not a pushover. I run an engineering firm I built from scratch, solving complex problems with logic and precision. I don't have time for drama or nonsense. My dad taught me 2 lessons. A man's only as good as his word, and you set your boundaries and stick to them. No exceptions. When Maya and I got serious, I was crystal clear about my deal breakers. The biggest one? Exes. They're out of the picture, end of story. No friendly chats, no catching up, nothing. She claimed she felt the same, saying she despised guys who were insecure and that my confidence was what drew her to me. She was a damn good actress. For 2 years, she played the part of the perfect partner. Liam, though, was always a sore spot. He was her college boyfriend, a musician she described as a classic case of a guy who wouldn't grow up. She painted him as a charming but unreliable artist who broke her heart. She used him as the perfect contrast to me, the steady, successful guy she'd been waiting for. It was a great story, and I fell for it. Now I see she wasn't just sharing her past, she was laying the groundwork for her future. Her confession didn't completely blindside me. I'm an engineer. I notice when things don't add up, when the foundation of something starts to crack. For months, our relationship felt off. She was always on her phone, grinning at texts she'd hide if I got too close. Her girls' nights became more frequent, with vague explanations about where she'd been. The first real red flag came a month ago. My buddy Kevin called, sounding uneasy. He'd been at a music festival a few hours away and spotted Maya there with some guy. They were all over each other, holding hands, acting like a couple. He saw them again the next day, and it was clear they were together. When I confronted Maya, she didn't just deny it. She went on the attack. She showed me texts with her friend Tara, planning a girls' weekend at the festival. She claimed they'd bumped into Tara's cousin, a guy she'd never met, and accused me of being paranoid. She cried made me feel like I was the one losing it. I backed off, but the seed of doubt was planted. Her story was too polished, too perfect. That's when I decided I needed hard proof. I did something I'm not proud of, but I felt cornered. I bought a small GPS tracker and put it in the car she drove, which was in my name. I felt like a creep, but my instincts were screaming I was being played. For 2 weeks, I monitored it. The data was brutal. Multiple trips to a bar across town where Liam's band had a regular gig. Stops at a park near his apartment during the day when she was supposedly at freelance work meetings. Her moment of weakness wasn't a one-off. It was her routine. Her tearful confession was just a calculated move to get ahead of my suspicions with a smaller, more forgivable lie. So as the smoke from the burning tickets hung in the air, I wasn't just reacting to a kiss. I was responding to a web of deception. She finally found her voice and started yelling. She called me unhinged, said I was torching our future over one dumb mistake. I let her vent for a minute, then held up my phone. I showed her the GPS tracker's map, with dozens of red dots marking her secret trips. "It wasn't a kiss, Maya," I said. "It was a double life." Her face went pale. All her defiance, her righteous indignation just evaporated. I told her to pack a bag and be out of my house by the time I got back from the gym. Of course, she was still there when I returned. She'd moved into the guest room and locked the door, thinking she could outlast me. She underestimated me. The next morning, I made calls. My lawyer, Mark, had a formal 30-day eviction notice delivered by noon. I went to my bank, pulled my money from our joint accounts, and opened a new one at a different bank. I called the credit card companies and had her removed as an authorized user. I systematically locked her out of our shared digital life, changing passwords, cutting her access to everything from streaming accounts to our photo library. The real game changer, the thing that turned this from a simple cheating story into something bigger, came from my work. As an engineer, I deal with invoices, statements, and records all day. I'm meticulous. While untangling our finances, I noticed odd overpayments to a utility company on our joint account. They were small, $50 or $100 extra each month, but consistent. When I called the utility company, they had no record of the overpayments. The money was going somewhere else. I traced the transaction codes through my bank and found they were payments to a credit card I didn't know about. Without more info, I hit a wall. But then I got a break. A few days into our in-house standoff, a letter arrived for Maya from a bank she didn't use. It was marked, "Second Notice, Urgent." Worried it might be a debt collector who could come after our joint assets, I opened it. It was a credit card statement, and it was a jackpot. The card was in her name only with a huge credit limit. The statement was pages long, packed with charges for designer clothes, spa days, and fancy restaurants I'd never been to. Her spending didn't match her income. At the bottom, the payment details showed the bill was mostly covered by a direct debit from an account at another bank held by a numbered corporation. This was the real secret. Liam was a sideshow. This was the main event. As an engineer who set up corporations, I knew even numbered companies have to be registered. I spent a night digging through public business registries. It took hours, but I found it. The corporation was a holding company registered to Marcus Thorne, a wealthy, twice-divorced property developer in his late 60s, known for his lavish lifestyle and preference for younger women. Maya wasn't just cheating, she was running a fully funded double life. This changed everything. My proposal, our future, it was just one piece of her diversified portfolio of men. I hired a private investigator not to confirm her cheating, but to get visual proof of her relationship with Thorne. The Pie, a no-nonsense former cop, had photos within 3 days. They showed Maya and Thorne at an intimate lunch at a 5-star hotel. The Pie noted Thorne paid with the same corporate credit card that was covering Maya's secret card. The puzzle was complete. The 30-day eviction period was a masterclass in manipulation. Maya tried every trick. She sent her best friend, Tara, to plead her case. Tara came in hot, accusing me of being controlling and abusive for tracking her car. I calmly spread the photos of Maya with Marcus Thorne on the coffee table and asked if she knew her friend was taking money from a rich older man while living with me. Tara stared at the photos, speechless, and left without another word. Next, Maya sent her parents. They showed up unannounced, playing the concerned family card, preaching forgiveness and second chances. I asked if they'd ever met Marcus Thorne. Their flinch said it all. They knew. They'd been in on their daughter's scheme all along. I told them to leave before I called the cops for trespassing. The most satisfying moment came about a week before her move-out deadline. A delivery arrived from a high-end electronics store, a top-of-the-line laptop. The gift receipt inside was from Marcus, wishing her a happy early birthday. I signed for it. When Maya got home, I handed her the box. "Looks like your sugar daddy's still sending checks," I said. The raw panic on her face, realizing I knew everything, was better than any apology. She was out of moves, out of lies. The day she moved out was grim and silent. She called Liam for help, but he was suddenly too busy. Her parents refused to get involved. She had to hire a couple of guys from a moving app to haul her pile of designer clothes and shoes out of my house. She was utterly alone. As she was about to leave for the last time, she turned to me, venom in her voice. "I hope you're happy," she spat. "You've ruined my life." I looked at her and said, "I didn't do anything. I just stopped funding your life. There's a difference." The final step was ensuring a clean break. My lawyer, Mark, sent 2 letters. The first went to Marcus Thorne. It was professional, laying out Maya's fraudulent behavior, living with me while taking his money. We included copies of the pie's photos and bank statements, making no demands, just presenting the facts. The second letter went to Liam, a bit more direct. It included a bill for the private investigator, since his actions caused the expense, along with the GPS data and a polite reminder that meddling in someone's relationship can have consequences. I never heard back from Liam, but word got around that his band lost their regular Tuesday gig a week later. The bar owner was a business associate of one of my firm's biggest clients. I might have mentioned the situation in passing. Pure coincidence, I'm sure. Marcus Thorne's response was more direct. A week after he got our letter, a credit monitoring alert showed Maya's secret credit card, the one he'd been paying, was canceled. Her main cash flow was cut off. Last I heard, Maya's living in a cramped apartment she can barely afford, buried in debt. She tried a social media campaign about her abusive ex, but when anonymous accounts started posting photos of her with Marcus Thorne in the comments, she deleted her profiles. The real revenge wasn't the fire in the fireplace. That was just the opening act. The true revenge was the systematic, logical dismantling of her entire fraudulent life, leaving her to face the consequences alone. I sold the ring and I'm taking my sister to Paris. Turns out, non-refundable tickets can sometimes be swapped. Who knew?